welcome to another episode of the CotAcasT. My name is Brian Bermudez, and I'm the host of the Craft of the Air podcast, the podcast not just for aviation enthusiasts or professionals, but also those with a general interest in aviation. Join us on our journey as we explore the horizon of aviation together. I'm so glad that you guys are tuned in for another episode. Today, we switch it up a little bit, and we look at a potential new series in the works. After speaking with many of my students on campus and in some of the remote lectures, and some of my colleagues out there in the field, it may be beneficial to go through the topic of aircraft basic electricity. And specifically today we take a look at the potential pool of questions, the questions and the answers for aircraft basic electricity for the A&P licenses, for the FAA airframe and power plant license examinations. And for the oral portion, there's a potential list of questions that a student could be asked by a FAA DME, a designated mechanic examiner, during the examination. And so we're going to go through those questions today. And it's perfect if you're a student currently in school. It's one of the harder topics, I'd say, that I'd see with newer students, aircraft basic electricity. It's perfect. It's perfect to run through these questions and the quick answers. And we won't get too much into the explanation. We'll just kind of run through each of the questions and the answer kind of format. But it's perfect if you're A&P aviation maintenance student right now, whether you're in a technical school or college, or even professionals wanting to refresh their knowledge. Maybe they're in a different portion of aviation. And want to get a more in-depth knowledge of basic electricity, or anyone wanting a general interest. We're going to go through some of the basics today. And so if you're tired for reading for hours or going through your study guides or your apps, and you can sit back and relax, and as I go and I'll take you through aircraft basic electricity, the oral questions. First things first, today's episode of the CotAcasT is brought to you by Craft of the Air. Stop memorizing. Just stop. Stop it. Stop memorizing outdated content and rereading textbooks without really understanding the aviation content. That's perfect, because then you're in the right place. It's the perfect episode for you. If you're looking to obtain your FAA airframe and power plant licenses, Craft of the Air offers personalized learning sessions remotely from the convenience of your house. Are you tired of searching endlessly for unreliable data online? Are you in the field of aviation and you need help accomplishing your next big project? Consulting by Craft of the Air is a second you when you need it. Anything aviation, visit www.craftoftheair.com. Again, that's www.craftoftheair.com today, and speak with a federally licensed professional. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. So we jump right into it. FAA airframe and power plant license review of basic aircraft electricity. The oral questions, full of oral questions, and it particularly for the A license and the general license this is a part of general, and that general rating would technically have to be included with your first rating attempt. So whether you're going for your A license or your P license, that general rating would have to be included. And so we go through the basic electricity here. And so here we go. First question. What is the most important law applicable to the study of electricity? The most important law applicable to the study of electricity is Ohm's law. Question number 2. What are the elements of Ohm's law? The elements of Ohm's law are voltage, represented by E, current, represented by I, and resistance, represented by R. Question 3. What are the 4 sources of electrical energy? The 4 sources of electrical energy are thermal, light, pressure, and chemical. Question 4. What does an electrical circuit consist of? An electrical circuit should consist of a battery source, a resistance or load, such as a light bulb, and or conductors or wires. Question 5. What represents capacitance in an AC circuit? Capacitance is represented in an AC circuit by a capacitor. It is the same as a condenser. Question 6. What is the function of a capacitor? The function of a capacitor is to store electricity. Question 7. What is the unit of measure for capacitance? The unit of measure for capacitance is farad. Question 8. What is the standard unit of measure for frequency? The standard unit of measure for frequency is hertz. Question 9. What is the basic component that only allows current to flow in one direction? The component that only allows current to flow in one direction is a diode. A diode acts like a check valve. Question 10. What is inductance? When voltage is induced by magnetic flux lines in a coil in an AC circuit, the induced voltage is opposite in direction to the applied voltage and opposes any change in alternating current. Question 11. What is an example of an inductor in a magneto? An example of an inductor in a magneto is the coil. Question 12. What is impedance? The total opposition of AC to flow caused by combined effects of resistance, inductive reactance, and capacitive reactance in an AC circuit is impedance, or total resistance. Question 13. What causes opposition to the flow of current in an AC circuit? Inductive and capacitive reactance cause opposition to flow of current in an AC circuit. Question 14. What is the unit of measurement for impedance? The unit of measurement for impedance is ohms. Question 15. What is the purpose of a resistor? The general purpose of a resistor is to limit current. Question 16. How may the value of a small fixed resistor be determined? The value of a small fixed resistor may be determined by the color bands on the resistor. Question 17. What are 2 things that happen when current flows through a conductor? A magnetic field is generated, and conductors heat up when current flows through a conductor. Question 18. What is the common name for the lines of force that make up the fields surrounding a magnet? The common name for the lines of the force that make up the field surrounding a magnet are called magnetic flux lines. Question 19. What is the concept that describes the relationship between electricity and magnetism? The concept that describes the relationship between electricity and magnetism is electromagnetism. Question 20. What are the 4 factors that affect the resistance of an electrical conductor? The 4 factors that affect the resistance of an electrical conductor are the wire gauge, the length, temperature, and material. Question 21. What is the unit of measurement of power in a DC circuit? The unit of measurement of power in a DC circuit is watts. And this is amperes times volts equals watts. The equation for that is P equals I times E. Question 22. What is a kilowatt? A kilowatt is 1,000 watts. Question 23. In a DC circuit, what occurs when voltage is increased while resistance remains the same? There will be an increase in current when voltage is increased while resistance remains constant. Question 24. What are 3 types of DC electrical circuits? 3 types of DC electrical circuits are series circuits, parallel circuits, and complex circuits, or series and parallel circuits. Question 25. A 24-volt lead-acid battery has how many cells? A 24-volt lead-acid battery has 12 cells, and each cell is rated at approximately 2 volts. Question 26. What are the units that the battery capacity is measured in? The unit that battery capacity is measured is amp hours. Question 27. What should be the specific gravity of the electrolyte in a fully charged lead-acid battery? The specific lead-acid battery should be between 1.275 and 1.300. Question 28. What instrument is used to determine specific gravity of electrolyte in a lead-acid battery? The instrument used to determine the specific gravity of an electrolyte in a lead-acid battery is a hydrometer. Question 29. Why can a hydrometer not be used to determine the charge of a nickel-cadmium battery? The specific gravity of an electrolyte in the nickel-cadmium battery does not change appreciably during the charge or discharge of the battery. Question 30. When using a hydrometer to check the charge of a lead-acid battery, at what temperatures must a correction factor be applied to the reading? Adjustments must be made if temperature of the electrolyte is above 90 degrees or below 70 degrees. Question 31. What is electromagnetic induction? Electromagnetic induction is the transfer of electrical energy by means of a magnetic field or lines of magnetic flux, transferring voltage from one conductor to another without physically touching. This is the principle of transformer operation. Question 32. How are battery compartments protected against corrosion? Battery compartments are protected against corrosion by coatings of special corrosion resistance paint. Question 33. What should be the correct electrolyte level in a properly serviced battery? The correct electrolyte level in a properly serviced battery should be approximately 3/8 an inch above the plates. If the battery has baffle plates above the cell plates, the electrolyte level should be up to the hole in the baffle plate in each cell. Question 34. What are paralleling generators and how is the load distributed? Paralleling generators and load distribution is when two or more generators are operated at the same time to supply power for a load that must be shared equally. Question 35. Describe a no-trip circuit breaker. A trip-free breaker makes it impossible to manually hold the circuit breaker closed when excessive current is flowing. It pops when current or the circuit gets hot and can't be reset until it's cooled off. Question 36. Can you store NiCad and lead-acid batteries together? No. The fumes from lead-acid batteries can contaminate the electrolyte in a NiCad battery. Question 37. What is the result of an imbalanced cell in a nickel-cadmium battery? The result of an imbalanced cell in a nickel-cadmium battery is low internal cell resistance. The current will increase across each cell, causing it to heat up. Question 38. What happens to specific gravity of the electrolyte in a lead-acid battery when temperature changes? The specific gravity readings on a hydrometer will vary with temperature variations. For example, as the temperature of an electrolyte increases, the specific gravity reading will be high, and colder electrolytes will have a lower apparent reading. Question 38. What is an LED? An LED is a light-emitting diode. Question 40. What is an SLA? An SLA battery is a sealed lead-acid battery. Question 41. What is the basic unit of measure for inductance? The basic unit of measure for inductance is Henry. Question 42. What prevents reverse current flow in a DC alternator? The reverse current cutout prevents reverse current flow in DC alternators. Question 43. How many wires may be installed on a single terminal lug? 4 wires may be installed on any single terminal lug. Question 41. How do you identify wire types? Lettering on the insulation is a means by identifying wire types. And finally, question 45 that I have in the pool of questions is name some functions of a multimeter. Some functions of a multimeter is voltage, which is measuring for volts, current, which is measuring for amps, and resistance, which is measuring for ohms. That concludes the pool of questions that I kind of compiled here. And for the most part, ask this a series of those, and depending on your responses, you'd be advanced to the next section. But I'll put a poll out. We'll see. We'll put a poll out and see how beneficial it is to have this read to you as the listener. Is it more beneficial to have it read? And for certain students it's different. But we will see. But that does wrap it up for today's episode. And if it does work out, then we do other episodes in the future. Stay tuned in CotAcasT world, because we're going to be coming out with some very, very exciting episodes in the very near future. I thank you guys for listening to today's podcast. Be sure to follow the Craft of Air Instagram for the latest CotAcasT episode updates, and follow and leave us a review on Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. The CotAcasT is now available on Apple Podcasts. I can't talk at the same all of that. There's no editing on this podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day. Be safe, and we'll be seeing you soon.